The Grey Knights are a loyalist chapter of the Adeptus Astartes that were officially created during the second founding, holding the honour of being the 666th Space Marine chapter. The chapter was created to fulfill a specialist role, one whose need was dictated following the onset of the Horus Heresy. This role is to combat against the demonic entities of the warp, as well as those tainted by chaotic corruption, be they human or Xenos. Unlike other Space Marine chapters, the gene seed of the Grey Knights is seemingly unique, for it is claimed to be taken directly from the Emperor of Mankind himself, as opposed to being derived from one of the Primarchs, the genetically engineered sons of the Emperor. The very existence of the chapter itself remained completely unknown, save for a handful of beings, for centuries, before their existence would become more widely known by an increasing number of individuals within the nascent Inquisition. Following the events of the War of the Beast, the Inquisition would be divided into two main Ordos, the Ordo Xenos and the Ordo Malleus. The Ordo Xenos would focus their efforts upon dealing with the multitude of dangerous alien races throughout the galaxy, using the newly formed Deathwatch chapter as their chamber militant. The Ordo Malleus, meanwhile, would continue their mission in purging the taint of chaos and combating against demonic incursion, and the Grey Knights would act as the Ordo's sanctified blade. Because of their role in combating the taint of the warp, with the chapter becoming informally known to those granted knowledge of their existence as demon hunters, the recruitment process of the chapter is far more stringent and demanding compared to the requirements faced by the would-be aspirants of other Space Marine chapters. The chapter's recruits are drawn exclusively from psychers harvested by the Inquisition's notorious Black Ships. If a candidate is shown to bear both physical and mental potential, then they will be forced to undergo the 666 rituals of detestation. If this recruit survives and succeeds in completing this trial, then he will become inured to the horrors that would break other Astartes, let alone mortal men. They will then have the majority of their memories erased before being fully inducted into the chapter. This method of recruitment employed by the Grey Knights results in not only rooting out all but the most physically capable aspirants, but also the most spiritually pure and mentally resilient. Because of this, the Battle Brothers of the Grey Knights are said to be the only Astartes who are immune to the corrupting influence of the Ruinous Powers. But is this truly the case, or is there a chance, no matter how small, of one of the Grey Knights potentially falling to chaotic corruption? Initially, the answer would appear to be no, as it has been stated numerous times that the Grey Knights themselves are immune to the temptations of demonic entities. The Brothers of the Grey Knights chapter that are known as Purifiers even radiate an aura and power that is in itself anathema to warp-spawned entities, one that shields both their body and soul with a coruscating and purifying psychic flame. Some even speculate that the composition of the chapter's gene seed also aids in rendering them immune to the whispers and promises of demons, due to it allegedly being derived from the Emperor himself. However, bearing the genetic material of the Emperor does not make one immune to chaotic corruption, for several of the Primarchs, who to reiterate are the genetically engineered sons of the Emperor, did fall to the corrupting influence of chaos, with 6 of their number even ascending to demonhood. It's also worth noting that the unique genetic makeup of the chapter's gene seed, should it indeed be truly unique or even derived from the Emperor himself, instead of one of the Primarchs, does not prevent its recipient from falling to the influence of chaos, as there have been documented accounts of warriors from the Exorcist chapter becoming corrupted by the Ruinous Powers. The Exorcists are a successor chapter of the Grey Knights created during the 13th founding, and like their forebearers, were created for the role of combating demons as well as the mortal servants of the Chaos Gods. To aid in this, the exorcists prove their spiritual purity by allowing themselves to become possessed by a lesser demonic entity before expelling or exorcising the entity from their souls through sheer force of will. One benefit achieved by such an action is that the warriors of the exorcists become effectively invisible to most types of demonic creatures, though more powerful beings such as greater demons and demon princes are still able to see their souls. But such rituals do not always succeed, for as detailed within the novel Death of Antagonists, a number of warriors from the Exorcist chapter would fall to the worship of chaos, forming a warband known as the Swords of Epiphany. However, it is worth noting that the corruption of these particular Exorcist Marines could be due more in part to their ritual in willingly allowing a demon to possess their body and soul before failing or refusing to expel them. As such, it would make the most logical sense to assume that the reason for a Grey Knight's apparent immunity to the touch of chaos would be due to their seemingly divine purity. But this isn't to mean that these defenses are completely infallible. It would definitely stand to reason that, if subjected to prolonged exposure of exceptionally powerful demonic entities, then such beings could, and in fact would eventually chip away at a Grey Knight's formidable spiritual defenses. The demon within the artifact known as the Blade of Antweer is one such powerful being who could very well one day cause a Grey Knight to fall to chaos. The corrupting influence of the blade is so strong that only those of the Purifier Order, such as Castellan Garin Crow, can become made into Wardens of the Blade, whose task is to watch over and guard the demon's sword. The fact that Antweer could potentially cause any Grey Knights not of the Purifier Order to become damned has even been mentioned on several occasions, with one such example being detailed with the following passage from the novel Castellan.
The war on Sandava III had been a hard one, and a long time for the other Grey Knights to be exposed to Crow's presence. The burden of Antweer was his to bear, and never set aside. His grip, the surest prison of all, must forever be on the hilt of the corrupting, indestructible relic. By the Emperor's will, his being had been shaped for this task. His brothers were strong in faith and sinew, yet the sword was a spiritual poison, its corrosion so powerful it could erode even their defenses.
Another piece of evidence that helps point towards the likelihood of Grey Knights not being completely incorruptible comes funnily enough from the audio drama Incorruptible. A squad of Grey Knights led by Justicar Steyr would discover that a purifier known as Sadon had fallen under the psychic thrall of the Xenos creatures known as Gene Stealers. Steyr himself would battle against Sadon, and the Justicar would become overwhelmed with disbelief at the very idea that a Grey Knight, and a purifier no less, had become corrupted. Once the Gene Stealers had been temporarily driven back by Epistolary Garrod, Sadon would recover a small measure of control over his faculties before requesting his own execution, stating that he was now unclean. Steyr would grant Sadon's request with a bolt round to the head. While the powerful and overwhelming psychic influence of a Gene Stealer brood's group consciousness is not the exact same form of corruption that is shown with demonic taint, it is still psychic and therefore warp-based in nature. While some might argue that Sadon's corruption was more in part to the Gene Stealers controlling him from a biological standpoint by infecting him with their own genetic material, similar to how Gene Stealers begin their infiltration and reproductive process, this seems highly unlikely. As detailed within the novel Cult of the War Mason, the warriors of the Adeptus Astartes are immune to the viral biology of Gene Stealers, as detailed with the following passage.
When the Iron Warriors arrived on Lubentina, it had been natural for the cult to believe they were the answer to Palatine Yadav's call for help. The Great Father had been troubled by such development. Regiments of Astra Militarum could have been infected and infiltrated, but the enhanced biology of Space Marines offered no such possibilities. They were threat without profit. That being the case, the Magus had thought to eliminate them as quickly as possible.
Some could argue that due to the brood mind of the Gene Stealers being essentially a smaller scale projection of the Tyrannid hive mind and the Shadow in the Warp, whose presence does render Tyrannid bioforms immune to chaotic corruption thanks to effectively acting as psychic white noise, as detailed in the 8th edition Tyrannid Codex, it is worth noting that this immunity to the influence of the Ruinous Powers does not apply to Genestealer broods that operate outside the confines of the Hive fleets, such as Genestealer cults for example. As documented within the 7th and 8th edition Genestealer cult codices, Genestealers both pure strain and hybrid alike can indeed fall to the taint of chaos, as demonstrated with the cult Tenebrous, a Genestealer cult that fell to the worship of the plague god Nurgle. As such, the incident with Purifier Sadon, combined with Garen Crow's own musings, detailed within the novel Castellan, would seem to indicate that while the Grey Knights themselves may be extremely resilient to the temptations and powers of chaos itself, they do not bear a complete and total immunity. Perhaps one day, a Grey Knight will fall to darkness and damnation, becoming a new pawn in the great game of the Ruinous Powers. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.